Nemesis is not a threat that can be defeated.
What lies ahead will be harder than anything we've faced before. The world almost ended.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm going to be talking about some of my ideas for Horizon 3 Nemesis. Now, I know that's not the official title, but who cares? I know a lot of people that love Horizon Zero Dawn, and Horizon Forbidden West really expanded on everything that was a flaw in the original game and improved upon it. So the third game this time around doesn't have much to improve on when it comes to Aloy's kit, but when it comes to the different side characters, side missions, enemy variety, and boss fights, and other various things, now that's where there is a lot of room for slight improvement. Now, when it comes to the overall story, I do have my predictions for what I actually would like to see, because the Burning Shores DLC did set up some things for the future of the franchise in the third game when it comes to the potential characters that might appear and other various things. Because at this point, Nemesis is pretty much like the beast of this franchise, and Horizon 3 should probably treat Nemesis as such when it comes to the idea of him coming to Earth. And in the menu, you can kind of see a ticking time clock for how long it's taking him to get to Earth. Now, as for Nemesis, its goals, I do believe it will slightly be changed this time around. I don't like the idea of having a giant overwhelming force try to destroy Earth yet again, just like with Hades. Because the only reason for him to destroy Earth is to deny his creators, the Zenith, a home, and they're practically all dead at this point. And there's not much of a reason for it to destroy Earth. There's not much of a reason for it to do anything. Obviously, it's not just gonna up and leave, so what would it really do? And I feel like the Zenith's part of it would probably try to combine Earth and really make it its own, kind of pulling a little bit from Arcane when it comes to Victor, practically making a hive mind and making everything human and also machine and connected to it through a giant hive mind. It's basically taking over Earth and practically making it its own, where it is the center point and it can control everything. Now, I know that sounds weird, but I do think it would make sense considering the fact that Nemesis never really had much control, and it has the digital minds of every Zenith in existence, and it practically acts almost like the core from Amphibia, and I feel like it should be treated as such with some slight tweaks. Also, for other story elements, I do believe that we'll probably have to go against Hephaestus for a first half of the game, while also looking for a weapon to take on Nemesis, which was set up in the Burning Shores DLC. And also, I do think side character-wise, Zoe would probably have Varl's child, Beta would probably start to be trained by Aloy, and also other characters might make a return as well. But enough about story, let's actually get into gameplay add-ons when it comes to the different characters, like Aloy and Beta, starting with Aloy. Gameplay, especially considering how different Beta and Aloy are as characters. While both of them are clones of Elizabeth Sobek, both of them are extremely different personality-wise and also experience-wise, and the same facet as Dante and Virgil from Devil May Cry. They could actually have two different styles of gameplay considering their personalities as well. Aloy obviously is very battle-hardened, very strategic, and also very cutthroat and confident, expanding on her gameplay from Horizon Forbidden West. In that game, they gave her brand new ammo types and also brand new styles of weapons and also more versatility to get around more. I believe that you can expand on that by giving her more options, but giving her a bit of Zenith technology to expand on her combat, like maybe a grab to pull enemies towards her, or objects and sling them at them or something like that, or maybe giving her more options when it comes to her melee combat, expanding on the overall moveset of the spear, but also giving her brand new melee weapons with the same amount of strengths and weaknesses as your long-range combat. Outside of the spear, it's the only melee weapon that you can actually use in your melee combat, so why not give us more melee options with more combos, also elemental damage that you can add to these different melee weapons, like you could have two dual swords with electricity, or acid, or even fire. That would be pretty cool, so it actually would add more strategicness on what you can do with your melee combat while balancing also your long-range combat. Also giving her more versatility when it comes to using machines in combat, like the Sun Wings and also the ground machines to take out enemies and other various stuff. This way, you can actually actually have it to where Aloy's the one that can do this a little bit more than Beta, where Aloy's actually using the machines in combat, using the sun wings to swoop down, and also other various things. Now, I know that would probably be a little bit overpowered, so maybe you can put a timer on this and actually have it be a special ability, similarly to the environmental takedowns in Batman Arkham Knight. These are some ideas that could expand on Aloy's kit, but what about her sister? Now, obviously, because of the fact that we are going to be having two playable characters with Beta's gameplay should be uniquely different than Aloy's, not being an exact copy and not using the exact same styles of weaponry. Obviously, you will run into the problem of people saying they just play the exact same. So for Beta's gameplay, I actually wanted to lean into the more high-tech nature of her character. And by that, I mean she would be taking a lot of technology from Far Zenith and actually incorporating it into her overall weaponry and also tech of her own. Beta would probably modify the Zenith technology and use the shielding tech basically as a defensive option for her gameplay. This way, she's not relying on armor, but like Doom or like Halo, obviously the shield can break if you take enough damage. And obviously, it would take a little bit of time for it to recharge, so that would leave you very vulnerable in the meantime, so that actually adds a bit of strategicness to Beta's gameplay in comparison. For Zenith weapons and other various stuff, I actually believe that Beta could modify and have her own set of drones that she could use in combat. Also, to make her a little bit more different than Aloy, she actually has the ability to hover around the battlefield. I know that sounds weird, but let me explain. In Horizon Forbidden West, Aloy gets an ability to glide using a shield. Outside of using a sunwing, she can't actually stay in the air for a long period of time. That actually got me thinking, what if Beta actually modified the Zenith technology to float or hover for short amounts of time? Similar in aspect to the Deadshot jetpack ability from Suicide Squad to kill the Justice League, but done a little bit differently, obviously. This way you can use your height in the air to your advantage to strike down at enemies where you need to for certain precision shots. Moving on to other additions when it comes to gameplay, this is something that bothered me a lot in Horizon Forbidden West, and that is there's not a lot of ways to use the machines that you get to your side in combat, especially the Sunwings. Outside of a barrel roll, they really have no use in combat, in the air, or in general. That's something that the third game could really expand on, and that is the idea of having air battles or utilizing machines in your combat. So adding on more diverse puzzles and actually changing things up a little bit here and there would be pretty cool. The biggest character that I do want to come back and maybe explore her a little bit more is Tilda. Now, obviously, we do see her hand stick out of the Spectre Prime machine, and she is presumed dead. It's not officially confirmed to be dead, and I actually think it would be interesting if maybe she, after the battle and all that stuff, secretly was alive and went into hiding because Aloy left her for dead and she feels rejected. She goes down a bit of a villainous path and actually starts making herself even less human, to a similar extent as Darth Vader or Dark Dany from Dany Phantom, where she doesn't really feel emotions anymore. She's cut herself off from her humanity completely. To quote Obi-Wan Kenobi,
"He's more machine now than man, twisted and evil."
Tilda, in a way to cope, would actually try to bio-enhance herself even further, using the technology of the Zeniths and what she knows of, basically like Virgil, separate herself from humanity, all those painful human emotions that she still deals with. And when Aloy tracks her down, she would be conflicted. Would this be the same manipulative person that tried to drag you off to space, or would this be something far worse? But what she finds is a shell of Tilda's former self, and I think that would be interesting. You can explore themes of guilt and basically leading someone to self-destruct. The last thing that Horizon 3 really needs to do, and that is update the side missions and also the weapons and enemy system. Now, when it comes to the side missions, I don't really have a problem with the story of certain side missions. That's not my problem. My problem is they need to update the rewards for actually doing these side missions, because what you actually get for doing them is not a lot, and that is my problem. Plus, rewards that are not just machine parts for upgrades, give us brand new stuff, or maybe give us access to special abilities that we wouldn't get outside of doing these side missions. Because when I've played the previous Horizon games, I don't often do a lot of the side missions because I don't really get a lot from doing them. My biggest problem with the Horizon games is the fact that there's too much to do and not really a lot of rewards for actually doing the things that they give you to do. Where basically in the previous two games, your choice system boiled down to dialogue options or occasionally ultimately deciding the fate of certain characters, or a key choice at a certain point in the story with 3 potential outcomes. And that is something that I would actually like to change, not just in these side missions, but also in the main story in general. Basically, like Hogwarts Legacy, your relationship could change depending on your choices and also your actions with certain characters and your relationships with them. That is something I think would be pretty cool, to change certain outcomes or endings of certain side missions, where you could have 3 or 2 potential outcomes for a side mission along with the main story. Your relationships with key characters could actually change depending on your choices and dialogue options with them. Now, as for the enemies, obviously we're going to probably be getting a lot more updated robots because of the fact that Hephaestus escaped and it's still around to make more machines, and I feel like it would make them a lot more difficult, but also we could explore the angle of more challenging human enemies, and this was something that Forbidden West kind of explored a little bit, but I think that we could take it even further. I actually wanted to take a bit of a page from Batman Arkham Knight, where the enemies are actually learning your strategies against you just as much as you're learning them against them, so obviously they're not going to fall for the same tricks multiple times. That's something that I always hated about the Horizon games, is obviously you can spam certain strategies to basically take on enemies, and that makes them a lot more easier to deal with. But what if that wasn't the case? What if human enemies can actually study your weaknesses just like you study theirs? This way you're not spamming each other with key strategies, and they're not just relying on a singular thing to defeat you, like sword strikes or stuff like that. It's actually more of a chess game where they're studying your weaknesses just like you're studying theirs, and you're having to find a way to counter one another. And this could work the same way when it comes to the robots as well, when you're targeting their key weak points and also their elemental weak points as well. Robots would actually start to produce countermeasures to protect those key points from you and actually put you on the offensive and also the defensive as well. This way they're not just cannon fire, they're actually learning from you, and when you're taking out their key points, they're starting to learn from that and actually trying to protect them. So it actually makes it harder for you to defeat them. Plus, I actually think it would make sense for the enemies to become more intelligent this time around, because you actually had to face off against Hephaestus and he had to learn from you, make his machines a lot more smarter to counter you. This way it actually adds on to the overall combat loop of Horizon, where both enemies, human and machine, are a lot smarter, and that actually makes them a lot deadlier. Let me know what you actually would like to see from Horizon 3 Nemesis, and let me know in the comments whether you agree, disagree, or what ideas you have in the comments down below. And while you're at it, make sure to hit the like button if you did enjoy the video, and to hit the dislike button if you didn't. It's perfectly okay with me. And because it actually does help out the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification to be notified when I upload. And it really does help the channel out and me. Also, have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, afternoon, night, or whatever it is for you in the world, and peace out. Bye-bye!